Welcome. I'm Marian Gurowicz, and tonight's topic is Kankyo Kaizen. It's all about setting up your environment to help you reach your goals, whether they be big goals or small goals. It could just be getting up on time in the morning, like this sample Kankyo Kaizen card shows, where if you have trouble getting out of bed and you're one of those people that just kind of reach over and hit the snooze button all the time, by placing your alarm clock 10 feet away from the bed, you have to get out of bed. You have to start moving. And you're far enough away from the bed so that the likelihood of you just flopping back down and going back to sleep is greatly decreased. My mom's here. Here, say hi, Mom.
Hi.
I'll turn this a little. That's my mom. So the word Kankyo Kaizen, Paul says hi. The word Kankyo Kaizen comes from two Japanese words, Kankyo meaning environment and Kaizen meaning continuous improvement. And you may remember there was a movement, I know it hit the company I worked at in the late 90s, I'm not quite sure when it started in Japan, called Kaizen. And it is attributed, or Kaizen has been attributed as the factor that changed made in Japan from meaning shoddy work to made in Japan meaning good quality work. When I worked at KeyBank, we all got these books, and if I was home, I'd pull out my book for you. It's a Kaizen book, and it's all these one-page little how to do things better, how to think about doing things differently, the whole idea of continuous improvement, and we had a whole Kaizen committee going. You know, other people, other companies, they were all getting their about yay big, maybe 50, 100 pages tops. I mean, they weren't very big. They were all little one-page articles on this whole idea of continuous improvement. Let's change that back to chat. If anybody came in after we started, in the lower right-hand corner is a symbol that made up of 3 balls connected by 2 lines. If you click on that, you can download the Kankyo Kaizen Starter Kit, so you can follow along with what I'm going over tonight. Within this whole concept of continuous improvement and continuous change, it's not necessarily the big things, though. It's the little changes that will show big, dramatic results. So one of the samples that they give in the booklet is this idea of wanting to eat better. Make it easier to get to the good food. Like I now keep, that Walmart sells them, and they're these little packages of apples and yogurt, apples and peanut butter. So instead of bringing in chips and dip and real candy type stuff, obviously caramel's a bit of a sweet, but still it's mostly an apple dish. And then they've got carrots and ranch. So I keep that in the house, and I don't bring the junk food in. I mean, I'm trying to lose weight, and there's no need to give the girls food that isn't healthy. Once in a while, sure, we'll still have chips, but on a regular basis, I just don't bring it into the house. Another area of Kankyo Kaizen is the whole idea of just doing things because they look good. Because when we're in an environment that is visually pleasing, we tend to react better to everything else. When we're in an environment that is dark, dirty, ugly, dingy, totally disorganized, it tends to, now, not everybody, not all the time, but it tends to bring the overall mood down. booklet, they actually give you to a blog post that started this all. The information that I've got is all coming out of Simpleology, and it's when they reintegrated the training into Simpleology, it is Orange Belt training that goes over Kankyo Kaizen for the first time on a very personal level. So some of the things that you can do with Kankyo Kaizen, and by the time we're done with this tonight, I'm betting, and the book's going to bet you too, that many of you are going to start thinking of things that you could do around your house, around your office, that by tweaking something, by moving something else, by putting up a new picture, that you can just make your environment a little more productive, a little more friendly, and that will improve. We were talking about the keystone habits. It helps with your habits. And these little improvements can influence the keystone habits, which influence other parts of your life. So they show an example of a boss that his employees say is inaccessible. One of the things I know when I was at M&T was our floor layout. Our floor layout was absolutely awful. They fit our department in at the last minute, and because of that, my office, picture a huge office building. It had once been a school, and they knocked all the old walls down and turned it into a mostly open area with cubes, and then on the outer edges were offices. So I had a real office, so I was on an outer edge. My boss had a real office, but it wasn't the office next to mine. Oh, no. His office was all the way across the floor. My employees were still in cubes. We tried to get them offices, but it didn't work. They were scattered throughout the middle of the floor. Well, that's an environment that can lead to either inaccessible or just not contributing to good communications. Because even though we're on the same floor, you'd have to go looking for people, or you'd have to pick up the phone. So it just didn't lead to good teamwork and good communications. A hack to that would have been getting us all together again, which eventually they did. And eventually they built a new section on the first floor for us. But that was 2-3 years after we'd moved into that building. So by that point, a lot of the damage had already been done, and we were having to relearn the whole communications thing and the togetherness part and the teamwork part that had gotten, I won't say lost, because we did work with on-site, but there is a certain bonding that usually occurs when you're all on-site together and you get that FaceTime that we'd lost as a group. Their next sample is appearance matters. Now, I know people that will disagree with this, that they swear by having all their piles of stuff there that they are perfectly organized and that they know where everything is, and if you move it, you will destroy them. Well, I'm not going to argue that with them. I know from my point of view, when I do everything organized, when I have everything filed away, when I'm looking at a nice clear desktop, I feel much more productive. I don't get into a factor where I don't know what's going on, where instead of concentrating on the next thing to work on, I'm looking at this pile going, oh, wait a minute, what's in there? And I'm picking things up and going through them again. That's why I practice. I was trying to teach my mom this one today. Yeah, handle a paper once. You either dump it or pile it. But you don't put it back in the same pile that it was in to start with. Because that only leads you to looking at that same piece of paper over and over and never making a decision. So that's a Kankyo Kaizen. So the presence of things or the lack of, I've got TV in the house. I do. I'm not never watching. So could be I just lost something sitting down to TV. So if you want to move away from that, so I know there are some people that have literally gotten rid of their TVs. They don't own them anymore. So we need to acknowledge that our space matters. What we see around us, what we hear around us, the smells. Smell is actually one of the senses that, well, we don't think about it as often, actually has very strong anchoring attachments. Toll House cookies, it takes you right back to a memory of making it with your grandmother perhaps, or cooking cookies with your mom. The smell alone can really trigger that right back in. An environment that takes advantage of it to help with your calmness, your happiness, you can trigger emotions like that. So you can take advantage of it. And within the course we're using tonight, they call making changes Kankyo Kaizen Hacks. That you're a hacker right now. But instead of hacking computers, you're hacking your environment. Cute, I know, but it's fun. Why not have fun with what you're doing, right? So think about some of the hacks that you could do to make things go the way you want them to. Suppose you want to increase your reading. It's a very noble thing to do. I read. Now, here's a quick one. This was a present from, oops, my son. He gave me it for Mother's Day. It's a nice little Kindle. I can get a new book on my Kindle in 5 minutes. If you want hard copy book, though, it's going to take you a little longer. Get your library. You've got the bookstore. If you want to increase your reading, have the books available. Go out and borrow some. Go out and buy some. Have them on your nightstand. Have them on the table where you want to do your reading, and make it a comfortable place to sit down. If it's comfortable but the book's not there, you'll find yourself sitting down without anything to read, and then berating yourself. You really want to start reading more. If you get the books, but the chair's got everything dumped on it, well, then you have to clean it off just to get to that. Again, your environment, you're going to do the things that you want to do to start with. So make it easy on yourself. Another example, this is going back to the whole food idea. I don't know that having an ice cream is really a bad thing, but if you want to avoid it, don't have the candy sitting out on your desk. I know for a fact when I tried being friendly and filling my candy jar, I ate more of it than anybody visiting my office did. One possible solution for that, buy candy that looks pretty but you can't stand. That was one of my ways of dealing with it. I would fill it with things that looked pretty, that were good candies, but were ones I just didn't like. so that I wouldn't find myself going in that candy jar. If I put cinnamon hearts in there, I'd eat them until I got sick. It was a habit that I almost understand why. So I just didn't put them there. Better yet, actually read something that will trigger the habit that you are trying to create. Going back to what we talked about on changing your habits. You want to use the triggers that were there. You want to use the results that were there. So in eating, your trigger might be seeing that food. Your result is that comfort feeling you get from eating it. However, it doesn't have to be the ice cream. It can be the carrot. Sometimes we use Kankyo Kaizen to solve actual problems that we have. More than just building habits, actually solving the problem, such as at the beginning with the hack to move your alarm clock. So it all starts by just making a few mental shifts, move things around physically to encourage you to do the things you want to do. For anyone that was here when we talked about exercise and walking, one of the things we said was have your sneakers by the door ready to go. If you have to go looking for them in the morning, 10 other things will catch your attention before you ever get out the door. One of the things that happened to me was I was being very good in getting up and walking every morning. And then it got rainy and I fell off the track, so to speak. No pun intended. I'm using this visit to my mother's as a pattern interrupt. It's totally different. So I'm using this to get back on track with walking. The first morning I was here, I got up and walked, had gone for a walk. So why did you ask me? So today we went out walking together. I plan on carrying that back to me when I get back to New York or back to Buffalo. I'm in New York. They didn't leave the state, just went far downstate. I'm going to use what I've learned there and the new habit that I'm forming and use my Kankyo Kaizen to get the sneakers ready and everything ahead of time is going to cooperate. Other than that, maybe I'll have to go buy myself a treadmill and come up with a different way of doing it. Some of the suggestions for establishing Kankyo Kaizen in your life is resist all or nothing thinking. They give the example of the cleaning day. Well, yeah, I've got to do this for cleaning day. Don't wait. Do a little thing here and a little thing there, and it adds up. I know one that I can do, and that is my hard drive. When we made the switch from one version of Windows to another, the file system didn't quite work the way it used to, and I've never been and cleaned it up. I have things that are so misfiled and hard to get at that if I were to clean up my hard drive, I could be a lot more productive, things a lot quicker. But I've been waiting on that all or nothing to come up with the big plan on how I'm going to do this and then start moving it. No, do it a little bit. One where I am doing much better at is my safe list mailers. I had one email address that I was using for that and for my traffic exchanges and for a lot of other things that were coming in. So some things I literally did need to see on time, and others could sit there till I was ready to get credits for them. I finally created a new email address just for safe list contact emails. But I'm using the a little bit at a time. So I still have some of them that are sitting there, and a lot of them. I find it very effective. So extra marketing tip there. I find safeless marketing very effective. But moving them over takes time. So I do 5 a day tops. And then tomorrow I'll move some more over. Make dual use of your time. If you're heading into the bedroom, well, pick up that thing that has to go back there. I know when I go over doing a Freedom Saturday, it's the whole idea of all these little things that have piled up, so you pick to do them at once. The whole thing here is you know what those little things are, and you just do them as you need to do them. You don't wait for that big day when you're going to do all the little things. If you see something, just do it then. If you've got an idea, pick it up, take care of it at that moment. Other than that, chaos theory says things always go from bad to worse, and suddenly that little pile of things has overflowed and poured off your desk, and it's a great big pile of things. Where if you constantly pick it up, you keep that chaos in check. The next recommendation is stop adding to the problem. You don't want to make yourself guilty, because guilt is not a resourceful emotion most times. Even when guilt actually can help you do something you know you need to do, you really don't feel that bad when you've gotten it done. And you tend to resent the whole time you're doing it when you're doing it out of guilt. So don't use guilt as your motivator. Use this new sense of Kankyo Kaizen that you're developing to say, oh, well, I might as well just pick that up and take that with me when I do it. Oh, look at that. If I change this around, this will do better. And just do it. Not guilt yourself into it. Just develop the habit of moving on Kankyo Kaizen suggestions that you come up with as you come up with them. And I'll do in the blog post, if anyone's got suggestions, they had their original blog post, which is really nice, but I'll do my own post for this. And as you come up with suggestions, head on over, share with everybody what you're doing, how you're doing it, and what results you're seeing. After that, the idea is just to experiment, to try different things. Not everything's going to work. Not every basket you put in that looks so pretty that's supposed to hold something is still going to hold it at the end of the week. And if it's not working for you, well, don't feel bad about it. Just come up with something else. If it is working for you, great and terrific. Do more of that. When we used to hold meetings at work, there was one woman especially who practiced this, and her meetings did continuously improve. And it was at the end of the meeting, what worked well? What should we do more of at the next meeting to keep productivity and discussion, et cetera, on time? What didn't work at this meeting? And if it didn't work, is there a way to eliminate or change what didn't work to make us more productive at the next meeting? And because of that, because she took the time to ask those questions, and we had to go around the room, and we weren't allowed to repeat what the last person said unless we expanded upon it, the meetings she ran always improved. Now, I wasn't always happy to get called into one of her meetings because you knew at the end you were going to have to go through this exercise, and it wasn't always the most fun thing in the world to come up with some answer to these questions. But when you stopped and thought about it, it really did work. When they talk about target behaviors, it's back to the whole idea of habits, the habits you want to eliminate and the habits you want to create. So by using Kankyo Kaizen, influence those habits, and if you target your keystone habits, which would be the ones that create upward spirals of everything else, it'll all work together. I just finished up doing the whole 7 habits. It's synergy. You use your habits and your Kankyo Kaizen, and everything just seems to start improving because you picked one little thing to improve. Unfortunately, and I don't know what the word is, it's the opposite of synergy and all getting better because it all just works together. But a downward spiral can be created just as easily. Anyone that ever listened to Jim, success is just a few key activities repeated day in, day out. Failure is just the opposite. It's a few wrong activities repeated day in and day out. But they cause the spirals that cause you to either go above and beyond yourself or just not to care. So in Kankyo Kaizen, we're looking for ways to increase the ones that will help you go above and beyond yourself. So let me just give a quick look through here. The starter kit that I posted, you're free to share that with anyone you want as long as you don't change it in any way, shape, or form. It is open for sharing. So let's just see if we can brainstorm any ideas of little hacks that you could do that might improve anything that you're trying to work on. And yes, we could offer carrot sticks instead of candy. Depending on who you are, the carrot stick may work better. You don't understand this. This is the whole idea, Jerry, that we can make little changes in our environment that will lead to big changes in the way we do and the way we do things and the things that we actually do. So my favorite example is if you want to add walking into your daily routine, the Kankyo Kaizen hack is to lay your walking clothes out the night before and have your walking or running shoes and your water bottle all ready so that in the morning you don't have to think about it. It's there, you do it, and you're out the door. For things to do. I learned 6 things in Mary Kay, or John does 3 things. It's just the consistency of whatever number you pick of doing those. So if 4 works for you, that's great. And it's things that, it's successes. It's things you can feel like you've checked them off. I know for anyone that was at TE Live earlier, John was talking about Eat That Frog. Well, some people do well with the Eat That Frog method, which is tackle the biggest, most ugly task that you have to do first, and then everything after that is easy. That works for some people. Other people like the Little Rock method better. And Little Rock is you do the little one so you feel those successes, and then you tackle the bigger one. And sometimes you flip. One day you want to do it one way, and one way you want to do it the other. As long as you understand and it's motivating for you, then that's the way to do it. Yep, if you're migrating email addresses, that's a good one. You know, I'm doing it when I'm ready to collect my credits for that one. So I'll clean up the credits, log in, change the email address over, and the next time I go to that one, it's already in the new email address, which includes walking inside the house. Patricia, what do you do to make it easier for yourself to do that? Is it having music ready? To me, that keeps me going, whether it be dancing around to it or walking to it or riding my bicycle to it, having the music there ready to give me a rhythm and a beat to walk to. Okay, well, there's one possible suggestion that works for you. Other people here may have other suggestions on how to do it. Is it something where you can walk outside to, or because of what you've gone through, it needs to be inside for now? I know one of the things I like is I'm actually getting some sun while I'm out there walking. Ah, well, there's a good idea. With a headset or Bluetooth, you can do the walking and the talking at the same time. That's one using your dual time, doing it the first time. You drive and talk as well. Just remember, hands-free when you're driving and no texting and driving at the same time. I constantly reinforce that one with my kids. My daughter swears she never does it herself. She always passes the phone off to somebody else. You can text. Oh, you can talk to your phone and it'll turn it into a text for you? I probably can, but I've never tried it. I wait till I can actually type it right now. It's probably something I should learn. That'd be a cool little hack to be able to use, to be able to make your texting quicker and easier. Well, my challenge to everyone is to come up with 5 things in their environment that they can do a hack on, and then go to the blog post, which will be up by Monday at least. Actually, now that Paul's doing the recording, I may be able to get it up even quicker. Because if he gives it to me, it would be really rude of me not to get it posted right away. So there's kind of a little hack I can use in my own mind to get it posted quicker. So as soon as I get it posted, go out there and share with us the hacks that you can think of for your environment, and go ahead and do them and share how well they worked. How did they influence what you do? Did it have the effect that you were hoping for? And if everybody can share with each other what happened in their own lives, and maybe if they see something that worked for them and didn't work for someone else, maybe share the differences, that we can all come up with our own little hacks to make life a little easier and a little better for all of us. And back to Jim Rohn, it's those few things done day in and day out. We can do that. Okay, just to go over the announcements for tonight. Right after this is our prosperity team hangout, and tonight they are going over attraction marketing. So by all means, let me put the link up there again for that. And again, if you ever want to hang out on the prosperity team hangout and you can't find the link, just go to my Facebook fan page, and the link to it's right there underneath, in the lower right underneath the cover photo. But that's the direct link to it there. You don't have to go through it. And yes, terrific. because that's the next thing on the list. My interviewee tomorrow night is Mr. Paul himself and his wife. And people here have had the pleasure of meeting Gloria before, because Gloria does a lot of the offline marketing and offline work. So it'll be a chance to meet both of them. That's okay. I'm more than willing to repeat it. But it's a chance to meet both Paul and Gloria and catch up on what they're doing and how they've used either traditional continuous improvement, self-development, or maybe even they've used some of the Kankyo Kaizen, because I saw Paul throwing a few in before that he's already thought of and has already implemented. So we may get some more Kankyo Kaizen things too. That is it for announcements tonight. We'll see, Jerry. If you've got continuous improvement, self-development topics, that's what I always try to target in who I'm going to interview. But if you don't want to be on it, if this is a plea to get me to say, oh, you'd be good and come on it, I usually don't react well to people that tell me don't do it, because I believe them when they tell me don't do it. If you've got topics that you do have that you'd like to share with everyone, then talk to me offline and we'll talk about it. So does anyone have anything else for tonight? If not, I will get the blog posted as soon as I can, and we can all share out on the blog.